Back to the Future, the animated series, episode 3, Forward to the Past. This is a pretty interesting episode with Doc and the boys going way back in time to the Cretaceous era, and basically, it starts off where Doc makes this machine that can pretty much erase anything from, well, it technically doesn't erase anything from existence, but it separates it on an, like the atomical level. Like, it takes everything apart piece by piece. So, it's almost a disastrous item. Like, when he made it, all I could think of was like, if this went wrong, it would like kill everything around it. Like, it would kill things. And it almost happens because his son Verne is like, oh, let me test it. And he's holding it up to Einstein. And I'm like, he would basically disintegrate the dog. So of course it's like, no, we can't test it here and that's super dangerous. But we can go back in time and everything will be fine. It's, it's just wide open area, no big deal. And so they go back in time. And it's like, all right, well, we need something to test it on. It's a wide open area. We just pick something and we, suck it up into this vacuum. Here comes a comet. So as this comet is coming down, as I think any human being on the planet would know just from sheer logic, this is probably the comet that destroyed the dinosaurs. Now, maybe it's just from a writing standpoint, it was super obvious, and I don't know, I mean, it's not like Doc is always, it's not like anyone knows exactly the size of the meteor, and it looks small anyway, I guess. But I was like, I would assume that that's going to be the meteor that destroyed the dinosaurs. Like, taking out a comet, that seems like a big deal considering, the whole era that they're in. But of course, he supercharges the vacuum, he shoots it, and one of the meters, or, one of the, blasts that he shoots out, one of the rays, actually hits the meteor, and of course it disintegrates. And it's like, okay, it definitely works. Cool. So they have this whole thing where it's like, alright, we have to find some way to get back to the future, because they have this whole issue where the DeLorean actually, craps out on them, because when they used the vacuum, they had to supercharge it, and they had to use the DeLorean to do that, so it could shoot, like, basically into space to hit the comet before it came down and got them, because, I don't know, Doc really needed to test it, instead of just leaving, and then testing it on something else, like, maybe jump a day or two ahead. He decided it was like, we have to hit this meteor for some reason, so let's use the DeLorean to supercharge the vacuum. So for whatever reason, he really had to do it on that meteor. And then, after that ends up happening, he finds out that the DeLorean is messed up. And it turns out that not only did they supercharge it, but Verne was watching like this VHS that Marty gave him, because Marty and Jennifer made like this music video. So he was watching it as they're supercharging the vacuum, and that like killed the battery. So they go through this thing, which ends up being like a part of the live action sequence at the end, where they use lemons to supercharge the DeLorean's car battery. So that ends up working. They go back to the future. Ends up being, of course, with them having destroyed the comet that destroyed the dinosaurs, dinosaurs have taken over. So dinosaurs are talking and everything. And I mentioned in my last review that there's this random thing that Doc has made where it's like it can translate anything. We have that in real life, but it's at least for like from human to human with actual dialogue. Like, Jules was like, don't worry, we don't know what they're saying, but we'll use the universal translator. He hit a button and a mic came out on the DeLorean, and it translated like future alternate version dinosaur talk into English. And I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, how does that work? So they end up in this future where dinosaurs were never destroyed, so mankind was never able to flourish because dinosaurs are way bigger and they just ate people. So they become super civilized, and they have, cars and stuff like that, and bars and things like that. They make a funny joke about lot lizards, or lounge lizards, so I thought that was pretty funny. It was a silly joke, but I was like, that actually made me laugh for some reason. So I really enjoyed that, like getting to see the style. Like, the styling they used was very interesting too. It's like, it's almost like a pre-rendered sort of thing. Sorry if that doesn't mean anything if you don't really know like certain terms for animation. But it's basically like those still image backgrounds that you see. You mostly see it in old cartoons, but they still do it now. It just looks a lot better. But how the background always looks very still compared to everything that's moving, that's pre-rendered. They do it in video games too. And it was very interesting because it was like they were flying through a lot of art pieces, and it looked really interesting because none of the buildings looked like what we have. Nothing was like straight up or anything. It would be like weird angles, or the city would be shown from a weird angle, so everything just looked really odd, like a portrait. So I actually liked, as they were flying through, the buildings looked very interesting, and then they would go through restaurants and people are eating, or well, dinosaurs are eating and talking, and even playing pool and things like that. So it was interesting. They go through, shocker, they end up running into a dinosaur that's a lot like Biff. This is right when the translation piece comes in. So of course, he's shaking the DeLorean because they're basically like little bugs to these dinosaurs. And so he starts knocking on it and says like, hello, anybody home? Referencing the film, of course. And Doc has to use like some electrical current on the DeLorean, which I thought was kind of a cool scene because he tells the boys to put his feet on the seats. And they were like, you always get mad at us. But he was like, just make sure you don't have, you know, your body touching anything metal, because I have to basically electrify the entire DeLorean so that this dinosaur will let us go and we can fly off. So fortunately that works. Almost gets screwed up because the dinosaur like shoots its tongue out and it hits the back of the DeLorean. And I guess dinosaurs have like super sticky tongues. I don't know. But for some reason the DeLorean was stuck on the tongue, so they had to like, you know, rev the engine really hard, and eventually they were able to escape. And so they shoot backwards in time. They watch themselves go back to the future as they're coming. It was kind of like Back to the Future Part 2, actually. So they see themselves like a couple of minutes before they left. They take off, and then it's like, all right, well, we have to, you know, basically reverse the vacuum. And that's what they do. They put the meteor back in place, and it's like, all right, well, we have to go. During this whole episode, there was like this little part where a pterodactyl came in. It was a something Don. It wasn't exactly a pterodactyl. And the boys kind of befriended because it's a cartoon, and it swooped in and picked them up, and for whatever reason it was really friendly. It flew them near a volcano just before it exploded, which would have easily killed them, and it landed them down on the ground. It's like, cool. And they nicknamed it Donnie. I don't know why they did that, but they did. Like, this is one of the things they do with like Einstein, where he's like way more, he's like an animated, he's like Scooby-Doo more than an actual dog. It was kind of like that. I was like, this makes no sense, but I'm just letting it be the cartoon version of the show. So at the end of the episode, they go back, and it's like, they actually do a really funny thing. It's exactly like Back to the Future Part 2, because Donnie, the dinosaur, is watching them go forward in time when you know, they were at the beginning of the episode, and then they show up again, and Donnie looks over and he freaks out, and it was kind of like Doc in the Back to the Future Part 2. And so it's like, you know, we're back and everything, and, you know, Verne, the youngest of the boys, really got attached. But they had to put this meteor back in place, and it was like, you know, don't worry, we have to do it. Like, so they put the meteor back, and it's like, you know, we have to leave, and Doc has to kind of coax his son to take off. It's like, you know, we have to. So they end up leaving, and it was like instantaneous. It really made me laugh, but it's super dark. As soon as they left, the meteor hit, and I was like, and Donnie's dead. It was like, as soon as they left, the meteor hit the ground and just exploded, and I was like, that was kind of dark. Like, there's no other way to do it, because it, you know, it wipes out all dinosaurs. But it was really funny to me, because it was like, you know, we gotta go. And it's like, okay. It was like, bye, Donnie. And then it's like, boom, they go to the future. Dead. Donnie is gone now. So it was kind of funny to me. It was super dark, but it was really funny. And then they have this bird that actually lands on Verne's shoulder. And so he's like, you know, do you think this could be Donnie's like great grandson? And Doc is like, you know, you might have to put a few more greats in there. But it was really funny because this bird that landed looked like a freaking toucan. I know they're in California. It's like Hill Valley, California. But I'm like, this bird is like purple, and it's got like, you know, the toucan Sam beak where it's like different rings and stuff. I'm like, what type of bird is this supposed to be? So it was just super funny. Like, this random, really colorful bird just came out of nowhere and landed on this, you know, on his shoulder and stuff. And I was like, that's just so silly. But it was actually a pretty good episode. Like, I like the art style of it, seeing the dinosaurs in the future. They didn't really do anything as far as like the other characters having like dinosaur versions. It was just that Biff dinosaur, and there was another cop before. It was like a cop that first found them in the DeLorean, and then like the Biff cop came along and was like shaking the DeLorean and pushing the other dinosaur away. But it didn't have any like relation. It didn't like look like Marty, or it wasn't the voice actor for Marty or anything. It was just like a random person. It could have been the voice actor, but it wasn't meant to be like the dinosaur version of Marty or anything like that. So they only did like the Biff connection as far as the dinosaurs, because it always has to be Biff related if it's going to end up being a villain. But it was a pretty cool episode. I love the crazy style of it. It was really funny. I think this was the episode that had the most random issues, where it was like, Doc should be way smarter than this. Like, this is the meteor coming down. Just the illogical things that happen with it being the cartoon version, like the super nice dinosaur, you know, picking them up and saving their lives and stuff. Really silly stuff. Excuse me. Just really silly stuff that they had in there, but I still really enjoyed it. As I mentioned, them supercharging, or not supercharging, but fixing the DeLorean's batteries with the lemons. That comes up at the end of the episode during the live action segment. Doc tells them, like, where it tells the kids, whoever's watching, it's like, this is how you basically make a battery out of a lemon. You get some aluminum foil, you can put some, get some cardboard rectangles, put the aluminum foil around them, cut little slivers into a lemon, put it in there. I'm learning a lot of science, I can tell, because I remember everything that's happened so far. But it shows you how to make a battery out of a lemon, silly stuff like that. And at the beginning, they had this really funny thing where it starts off, and Doc is actually in the Cretaceous period, and that's how the story kicks off. He's like, this actually isn't my first time here. Me and the boys were almost in a lot of trouble last time we came. But they have this really silly segment where they use footage that is insanely old. Like, it's older than the show, which came out in the 90s. So, like 91, I think it was when the show first came out. It was after the last movie. So, they have Doc in front of, like, this footage that's from, like, the 1950s of two people in, like, rubber suits as dinosaurs, and they're supposed to be arguing and stuff, and it just looks so cheesy. It was hilarious to me, because I'm like, the footage looks horrific. It's like when you see it any other time and people use, like, actual footage that's, not copyrighted anymore. It's in public domain, and if it's public domain, it's because it's the oldest thing out there. So it was super funny watching him, and he's, like, trying to talk to the dinosaurs and stuff, because it's like they're arguing or whatever. And it was just so funny to me, because it was like, it's just two people in rubber suits. But it wasn't even footage that they made for the show. It was old footage of two people in rubber suits. And it was just like, wow, that seemed like it would have been so cheap to do anyway, because they already have the fake crappy rocks. I mean, I guess he was in front of a green screen too, so I guess they didn't have that much space to do it. But it just looked so funny to me that they used such old footage, and I'm like, I feel like they easily could have got two dudes in some rubber suits or something, and they still used this footage that was so old. Even when the show was made, it just looked terrible. So it made me laugh a lot when the episode, like, first kicks in. But pretty decent episode. Like I said, I really enjoyed seeing, like, this crazy dinosaur version of the future. It was like the Flintstones, but without the people. So there's all that technology and stuff. Even more technology, because, well, actually, the Flintstones do have TV. So it's basically the Flintstones without the actual human element. It's just dinosaurs, and all the dinosaurs are huge. So it was just like that. But I liked it. I thought it was a pretty good episode, of course. We'd love to know what you guys thought about it if you happen to have seen the episode. If you have any random questions about the episode or anything like that, please put your comments down in the comment section below. And, of course, thanks for watching.